Welcome to episode 2 of Run With. Today I am talking with Dan Nash. He is an elite athlete who is taking part in the London Marathon this Sunday. It's the 40th edition of the London Marathon and it's a bit of a strange one. It's an elite only field where they will be running 19.5 laps around St James's Park. Dan is a 2:18 marathoner and last year broke the 50k British record at the World Championships, where he earned himself and the team a bronze medal representing Great Britain. Today I will be asking him all about his insane training, his training for London, the actual race itself and his plans, and also the unique way that he managed to gain a spot in this year's London Marathon. So, hello and welcome to Run With. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, nice to be here.
You've just been on a run?
Just been on a run, 6 miles.
Yeah, just a casual 6 miles.
Yeah, nice and easy.
Nice and easy, because you are running the London Marathon next week, and I do want to talk lots about that. I've got lots of questions about your training and about what it's like running London. But first off, I want to go back, and I want to go right back. Why did you start running?
Oh, why did I start running? The thing is, I didn't really start. I think I've always run, to be honest.
Okay.
My parents ran, and we did this thing called hashing, which is it's all over the world, and it's sort of like the paper chase. So someone will lay out a route out with flour, and it could be anywhere through farmland or through parks or whatever. And it's, really family thing. You follow the trail, and when you get to like a circle, there'll be lots of different routes going off. Yeah. The fast ones would go and hunt out the right route, and the slow ones would catch up, and then you'd all move on again as a group. And then you'd always go back to a pub afterwards, and there'd be
really,
and then there'd be, if someone's done something silly, they would have to down a pint if you're an adult, or a pint of Coke if you're a child. And then but it's that's how I started. I think when originally I was pushed around in a buggy, and then when I could run, I started running.
Yeah, and so that's something that you've done all through school.
Yeah, and then I did that as a kid, and then I started doing primary school cross country races, and then when I got to secondary school, I joined the local club, and then that was it really. And
that's it. So running really is in your blood. It's kind of how you've been brought up, and it's your life.
Yeah, it's always been a massive part of my life. I used to do other sports as well. Like I used to do cyclocross and some time trials on my bike. Yeah. And I used to play squash and tennis.
Do you still do those things?
But since like 16, I don't really do anything. And I've done some cycle tours, and I'll do that occasionally if it fits in. And if I'm injured, I'll go on the bike. But apart from that, it's just running really.
Yeah. And what's your life now? Are you a professional athlete? Are you a kind of working and doing the running at the same time?
So I'm doing a PhD at Cardiff Met. Yeah. So that's full time.
And that is it physiology?
Yeah, in exercise physiology. So it's really cool actually. I'm working with because of a funding scheme. I'm linked to Sport Wales and Welsh Athletics and Welsh Triathlon. So I do some work for those organisations and do some physiology with them, but at the same time do my own research projects. Okay. So that's sort of that's full time, but because it's a PhD, it's quite flexible. So I can go and train at lunchtime if I want, and then I'm based up at the Cardiff Met campus, which has got the track right there. On my office, you can see the track from my office. So that's really nice.
A good setup for you to be able to pursue running as well.
Yeah,
and
it's a really good setup.
Turning a full-time professional, is that something that you want to do?
Oh, it's something I'd love to do. I think realistically at the minute it probably isn't feasible, but at the minute I'm for the next 2.5 years I'll be doing my PhD anyway, so that works pretty well for me.
And whilst you're doing your PhD, you have done some pretty good stuff. Last year you had a really good year. You were 4th at Brighton?
Yeah, I was fourth at Brighton and a PB. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was your PB last year?
I did 2:18, and I was really happy with that. I think that was a 4-minute PB.
That's a big chunk.
Yeah, it was nice
chunk
chunk to knock off.
Did you feel like your training was leading towards that? Did you think, I'm in good shape?
Yeah, I mean, I repeat the same sessions in most of my marathon build-up, so I knew that I was in better shape than my 2:22 from the year before. But you never know on the day if anything can happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't know what the conditions are going to be like and all that. But no,
it was a bit of a race at Brighton, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a really good race.
Yeah.
There were three of us together for like the whole thing basically until like 24 miles, and then it was a free-for-all.
Yeah.
But we worked together really nicely. It was quite windy, so we took it in turns in the lead, and then we all ran massive PBs. So it was actually a really good experience, and it was a bit of camaraderie there. It was quite
and you think
quite
that,
nice.
that helped?
Yeah, definitely
on the
helped.
day?
Yeah, definitely.
And then later on in the year, you went and got a little record. You got the British record at the 50k distance. Is that right?
I did.
Yeah, and that was bronze.
Yeah. And bronze at the World Championships. Yeah.
And that was team and individual.
Team individual bronze. Yeah.
Amazing. So I've got a question about that. Why the 50k distance? First off.
It was really because it was a chance to get a British vest.
Yeah.
I think you had to run. I think it was under 2:21 for the marathon, and I just run 2:18.
Yeah.
I thought and it was just an application process. You put your name forward and have your times, your credentials, and it was up to the selectors. And I always knew that for me, the longer the distance, the better.
Yeah.
It's not too much further than a marathon, an extra 5 miles. And yeah, I thought it would suit me, and I thought it'd be a bit of fun, chance to get a British vest.
A bit of fun, and you go and break a record.
Yeah, and then it just turned out amazingly on the day.
Wow, it is. What was it like racing out there?
It was really good actually. It was really cool. Like having all these athletes from all over the world all staying in the same hotel, and then like all the people in the British team were really nice. And I knew of a few of the guys before, and then just. On the day, I wasn't expecting. I certainly wasn't expecting a British record, and certainly wasn't expecting to get bronze. And it just sort of all turned out, all clicked on the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was your training like leading up to that? Was it quite full on?
Well, I was really mixed actually. The training wasn't going well. I kept getting little niggles, or I got ill for a bit. So I was going into 3 or 4 weeks out. I didn't even know if I was going to start. I kept saying to people, to my partner, I think I'm going to have to pull out because I haven't done the training. I haven't done the training, and the training I have done has been awful. And then just in the last 3 sessions I did, everything just seemed to start clicking, and I actually really surprised myself. And from pretty awful training, suddenly it all came together, and I was doing some of the best sessions I've done. And then I started thinking, well, yeah, I'll just give it a go then. We'll see what happens. So still no expectations for myselfe.
And do you keep the medals up on the wall?
They're in my office, yeah.
Not in your desk.
On my desk, yeah, on my desk. But I've got a bit of a running theme going on. My granddad was actually up the 4-minute mile where Roger Bannister was, and he very sadly just passed away a couple of weeks ago. But he gave me the program, which has got. The itinerary of the day, and then he's written down the splits, the 400-meter splits.
I bet they're crazy.
So that's quite
splits.
cool. Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine what kind of speed that would entail. But
no, neither can I. I'm really slow. Yeah, but
really slow. Well, not really. So, moving on. You obviously ran for GB last year. You broke the record, which is ending 2019 on a huge high.
Definitely,
then 2020 has happened, and I think for everybody it's kind of knocked plans sideways. What were your original plans for this year?
So I was originally supposed to do London Marathon in April, and I was sort of the back end of 2019 hadn't gone that well. I'd had a few injuries, so I was sort of starting off reasonably. I wasn't in great shape, but actually I was the trajectory was going well. I did the British University Champs, and that went well. I had a warm weather training camp in Spain with Welsh Athletics. But yeah, supposed to be gearing towards London Marathon in April. I ran a big half in I think that was very 1st of March, and then I got PB there. Then I got injured, so and I couldn't run, so I wouldn't have been able to run London in April anyway.
Okay, so
so actually it wasn't the end of the world, and actually lockdown then happened. I had 5 weeks where I just couldn't run at all, but because of lockdown, I was going a bit mad at home. But then when I did start running again, I didn't have any pressure, so there were no races to train for, so I took it really slowly.
Kind of the ideal situation,
and actually for me it works really well, because normally I'm normally, this race isn't 4 weeks away, I can get quite fit for that. And it's not pressure, but I think, I could get fit to do that, and I push things a bit too quickly.
Yeah.
But because there literally was nothing to train for, I was really slow in my build up, and that's actually really helped me for London this year, because I've had a much longer build up and a much more gradual build up, and it's just progressed slowly but steadily, and I've got really fit.
So I want to ask you some more questions about your training for London. Can you I'm sure that anybody watching this may have seen your tweet. How did the London Marathon tweet come about? Because I think this is amazing. This is, if you don't ask, you don't get. And I love that you questioned London Marathon and said, come on, can we extend this a little bit? So can you just explain to me why you tweeted?
Like you said, I never really like asking for anything. I normally just prefer to, there's circumstances, I just get on with it. But I thought, with the London Marathon, I thought if they were going to, they announced that it was going to be an elite-only race, and that it was going to be in a bubble, and then, and my first thoughts were, it seems a bit of a waste to put on this whole event, which is just going to have like 25 elite athletes, which I think was the original start list for London. And I thought it'd be really nice to add some domestic athletes, because they could. It seems like there's a good opportunity to add some, but also there's lots of stories of people like myself, but there's plenty of others with much more interesting stories of athletes who are training at a really high level, not quite hitting like elite times. We're not professionals, but we're balancing our training along. I'm doing a PhD, people have got families, have got kids, they're working full time in hospitals or in schools or whatever. So that was sort of my motivation behind it. I thought that was my
You deserve to be there too.
Actually, I'm working really hard. I've run 2:18, which is a long way off to Kipchoge's 2:01, but it's a reasonable time. If you'd like to add me to the field, I very much appreciate it. And actually, they ended up adding a few more. So myself included.
So that's an amazing result.
Yeah.
And it's thanks to your tweet. There's probably a few people that would thank you because. You've got
we've got a few more in, so
and
like you said,
it
wasn't just down to me, but
they're people that deserve to run the race and have been training for it, and a lot of people would have been training for it before the elite start list was announced, and the fact that it was going to be in a bubble. I think that's amazing, and I absolutely love that you were like, do you know what, I'm going to tweet them and see what happens, and actually you got heard and it made a difference. So I absolutely love that. I think that's just brilliant, that they stood up and listened to that. So what has your training looked like for London?
So training's gone really well. It's the best training I've ever done. I think I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. A normal week I'm going between 110 and I think my biggest week was about 132 miles. So
that's insane.
Lots of running, lots of big sessions, I've been on the track quite a lot. That's one of the things I've done slightly differently this time is because I've had a bit more time in my build up. I've been able to do a bit more speeds, like relative speeds. I'm doing like 15 kilometre worth of reps on the track.
So are you doing most of your speed on the track?
So I've been doing like intervals I've tended to do on the track. So I've been doing like standard sessions for me 15 times a kilometre, and then 5 sets of 2k, 1k. So I'll do them on the track, and then fartleks I'll do them in the park. And then long runs in the park as well, in Butte Park. I'll just find a loop to do which is pretty fast and do laps of that. So
your loops, are they in preparation for London? Because obviously it's a looped course. I think it's 2 kilometres, isn't it? 2.1k laps. So what's that, 19 times?
19 and 19 and a half times.
Okay, so but you've kind of got the psychological benefits of doing your long runs in loops.
I don't mind laps, to be honest. The 50k was in laps. They were bigger laps. I think it was 9 kilometre laps instead of 2 kilometre laps.
2 kilometres is quite small, isn't it? So.
But and I don't mind it. I did a 10-mile tempo a couple of weeks ago, and I just did 10 laps of a mile loop. I sort of like it. You get into a rhythm, you can pace it really well, and you're not going to get lost, are you? I don't know.
I don't know. I think that the thought of running endless loops, I think that would drive me insane. I think it's really different.
But you tick them off quite quickly, and then coming from a track, I've done 10Ks on the track, and although it's only 10K, it's 25 laps of a track, and
I guess it's quite helpful for pacing as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, well, it's good for pacing, but at the same time, so you can you know exactly what time. If you know what time you want to do, you know what you should be hitting each lap in. But it's also, if you do start slowing down and you start your mile splits are going slower and slower, you know it's not just a slow mile, it is the fact that you're getting slower. So that's probably going to be, that could be tough at the back.
Because normally in London you tend to, GPS drops on your watch and you haven't got a more. So it's probably more the back of the pack, like I am. So you're like going along. You're like, this is completely inaccurate.
Yeah, well, I've never done London, but before the actual London Marathon. But yeah, you've got a bit of a fast start, haven't you, with those first early miles. When you always lose satellites in going around the skyscrapers, so you can just kid yourself saying, oh, that's not true.
Just make up a time in your head. So, talking of pacing. What are you going for in London? Are you going to say?
So, I think I'm in PB shape. I've done 2:18, and there's a few. I've been speaking to a few of the people and the other guys running, and I think the current plan is to go through halfway in 68 minutes and then see what happens. I'd like to think I'm in about that sort of shape, but actually, if it is a bit too fast, I don't think I'd blow up completely. Okay. So I think, current plan is to go through in 68. If I slow down a bit, I slow down a bit. Yep. If I pick it up a bit, amazing. But I think that's the plan. I think that's roughly, that 2:15 to 2:18 shape is probably where I'm at. So I think if I go through halfway in that, it's not going to be too far wrong.
You're going to hopefully come away with a PB.
Yeah, hopefully a PB, and then, we'll see.
And how will it be on race day? Will there be like a pack of you together? Do you work together on race day like Brighton?
So Brighton was just a bit spontaneous, really. That we just sort of happened to fall into a group, and we all, worked together really well. But but actually, I think, this time I've spoken to some of the guys running. So Paul Martelletti, who he's got the marathon record for fastest person in the Spider suit.
Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man. Yeah, I think it was Spider-Man
suit. Yeah, and he's run 2:16. And then Josh Lunn, who's from Cardiff Athletics as well. And a couple of others. I think we're going to work together with the first half, and then we'll probably just see what happens. If some people might push on, hopefully we'll have a good group all the way to the finish line, really. But
work together and then do your own thing and go for those PBs.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Amazing. And what's the size of the London field? Do you know?
So I think it's 45 men.
Yeah.
I think it's about 40 women, and then you've got the wheelchair athletes as well.
Yeah, so it's a decent size.
Yeah, it's a good few.
Do you think it's going to be, obviously you said you've never run London before, but without crowd support, do you find that crowd support helps you when you're in a race, and do you think it might be a little bit strange not having those crowds?
I mean, I've heard the atmosphere at London is something else, and it's incredible with the best in the world. And I did a mini marathon when I was a kid, and that's the last 3 miles of the route, and that was always a really good atmosphere. But actually, once you're 18 miles, 20 miles, and it's starting to hurt, I'm sort of a bit oblivious to what's going on, really. There could be one person there, could be 100,000 people there. Yeah. So I think I don't think it'll affect me too much. I'll just be concentrating on the race and hitting the splits, and there will be people around, I'm sure. There'll be lots of sports staff and organisers, so hopefully there'll be a few people cheering. But
there'll be enough there. But like you said, you'll be in the zone and you'll be concentrating and focusing. So I want to ask you a question, because obviously you're doing your PhD. And in that PhD, do you do like lactates?
Yeah, lots of lactate testing.
Threshold. What is it, the VO2 max?
Yeah, all that stuff.
It does fascinate me, but I'm not scientific minded at all. So that's more for the endurance athletes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got one question for you. When my Garmin is telling me that my VO2 max is superior, do I listen to it?
So the actual number might not be spot on. I think they seem to be reasonably accurate, but the number probably itself probably isn't spot on. But if you're using a heart rate monitor and not relying off the optical wrist heart rate, then it's probably a good gauge of your progress. So if actually the number's going up, you probably are getting fitter.
Yeah.
So that's nice. Actually, they are quite good barometers, and I do sort of pay attention to mine. But you also need to you might see that actually, if it suddenly got really hot, your heart rate's gone a bit higher for a given pace. It might downgrade you on your VO2 max score, but actually you probably haven't got any less fit. It's just that actually now running outside's a bit harder because it's hotter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so things like that.
Because true, accurate VO2 max testing is blood tests and different things like that, isn't it? It's
yeah. So yeah,
it's not just
you can't just look at your heart rate, but it sort of gives you a nice idea of roughly of where you're at if you can compare yourself to yourself.
Because I think a lot of us, we look at our Garmins and there's constantly, I've just had a session and I've just gone down to whatever the number might be, and yes, arguments with Garmin, but I'm going to just say that it does give you kind of like an accurate, not accurate, but a general
ballpark,
idea of your fitness. Because, and also I do believe that everybody should wear heart rate monitors. Do you wear heart rate monitor?
I do, yeah. I always wear a heart rate monitor, and I didn't used to, but actually I think you can if the more data you collect, the better you can use it. If you can compare to previous sessions and previous marathon build-ups, for example.
Yeah.
I think it is really useful.
And you use that as an indication with your times and your training. You use the same kind of sessions and you compare data. Is that right?
Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what are your goals after London? Does it depend on London or?
Not really. It's hard to say because don't know what's going to be happening in the next few months. But really, I want to get London out of the way. Hopefully have a PB, and then I want to go back to the shorter stuff. Really, I want to. The ultimate aim is to make the Commonwealth Games in my marathon. Amazing. And I think if I need to get another jump on in my marathon times, I think I need to get a bit quicker over shorter distances.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, because I've been having a huge battle with myself. My marathon times aren't coming down and my running's not getting faster, and I keep missing what counts, and that's the short stuff first. Get the short stuff
definitely
fine-tuned, get faster.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a good plan with COVID, and we don't know what's happening with the races. Get
exactly.
Faster. And so what's the goals for the 5 and 10K?
So I've done 14:22 I think for 5k and 30:23 for 10k. But I'm pretty pleased with 5k, but the 10k definitely needs to come down.
Yeah.
Ideally, I'd like to sneak under 14 minutes for 5k. Then I'd be happy. I'd never have to do a 5k again.
Yeah.
Then, and I think that would give me a big enough speed reserve to go up to the marathon. And then 10k, I definitely need to go under 30 minutes. I think I've been capable of that before. I just haven't raced a 10k when I was fit. But yeah, it's a mid 29s, low 29 minute. That would I'd be pretty happy with that. I think that would give me enough to reserve to run a good marathon time, I think.
And what would be the process of qualifying for the Commonwealth Games?
So the qualifying time isn't out yet, but I think it's going to be something in the 2:15 range, something like that. So I need to knock a bit of time off my PB. Then I don't know how many they'll take. You can probably take up to 4 athletes, but 3 or 4 athletes.
Select athletes based on the quickest of who is available?
Yeah, so I think they'll be the quickest. It'll be the quickest in the field, but also they'll be depending upon if they think you can finish in the top 8 in the Commonwealth Games as well. I think that's normally one of the requirements. I mean they haven't said what you need to do yet, but it's normally something like that.
Yes.
But at the minute, endurance in Wales is really good. At the minute, you've got Dewi Griffiths, who's run 2:09, and you've got Charlie Holson, Josh Griffiths, and Andrew Davis have all run 2:14. Yeah. Then I'm the next on 2:18. So yeah, I'll need to step it up a bit if I want to make the team. But
I
that's
feel
the
like
goal.
Talking to you that you've got kind of that drive to go and
I think I know what I need to do. I just need to execute it and hopefully it all
plan and execute.
Hopefully it all comes together. There's always a bit of luck as well.
Show up.
Yeah.
Have you got any mantras that get you through tough training sessions?
Not really, to be honest. I if I've got a goal race, I could do like London, and I'll tell myself like, you know, it's getting hard. I've got like if I'm doing that 15 by K on the track, you get to 12K, and you're feeling pretty tired, and you're like, you don't want to do those last 3. But I'll tell myself, but yeah, like you've got London coming up. Like, that's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
And actually, if a training session is going really well, then that's motivating as well. You say, actually, you know, I've done 12 reps.
Yeah.
Like, they've gone really well. Like, you only need to do the same again for another 3. Like,
Break it down.
yeah, just break it down. So
Yeah.
no mantras as such, but yeah, I've got techniques that I do
Little things
use.
to get you
Yeah.
through. Yeah, I like the
Yeah.
breaking it down one, and looking at your goal as, you know,
Yeah.
imagining what you're working towards. I think that's really
Definitely.
a good idea when you're in, you know, on the struggle bus
Yeah.
session.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So what's the plan now leading up to London? What's the next few days like for you?
Yeah, not too much now. I did my last hard session on Tuesday, which was, I did 20 miles at 5:30 pace, and I did 2 miles hard at the end to finish, and that went really well, so that was a nice confidence booster to end my proper training with.
You've also, I meant to say to you, your long runs, have you been putting drinks on ironing boards? Did I read that?
Yeah,
So
so
your drink
I've been
station?
going to the Rose Inn loop, where there's a Rose Inn 2 mile loop, which is pancake flat. It's really fast. And yeah, myself and Josh Lum went out, and on the weekend we went out, and he brought his ironing board and put our drinks out on that, and just kept doing loops and picking up a drink every time. And then I went there on Tuesday as well, and I didn't have an ironing board, so I was just putting them on the roof of my car, and that works pretty well as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
I
what
guess
I've
if
been
it's
doing.
not hot, otherwise they get quite hot.
Yeah, no, it was all right. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we were the first time we went with the ironing board. We were having a bit of problems. It was really windy, and they kept being blown off the ironing boards. But
I love that you just think, we should take the ironing board to put our drinks on. It's an amazing idea.
yeah, it works all right. Yeah,
It works
yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
So ironing boards for drink stations are good. So you've done your last long run.
Yeah, last long run. Yeah, and then now I'll still run quite a lot, but most of it will be easy.
Yeah.
I'll be running twice a day most days up until the marathon. Yeah, so on the Saturday before, I'm going to do a fartlek and just do a minute on, minute off. I'll probably do 30 minutes of that, but so I'll do a bit of fast stuff, but I'll keep it pretty controlled. I won't be pushing hard. And then the last few days, I think on the Wednesday, I'm going to do 3 by a mile, but I'll just do it at just about goal marathon pace, so not that hard. And then I'm going to go 8 miles, 6 miles, and then last day before 4 miles with half a mile of at marathon pace. Then that's it.
That's it.
Sunday
nice.
race.
Fresh legs.
Yeah,
ready.
hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're going into the bubble.
Going into the bubble on the Friday, Friday morning,
Yeah.
arrive Friday morning, and then have a COVID test on the first thing we do as we get there, and then not allowed to leave the hotel until race day.
That's good for the leg recovery though, right?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
you can't go sightseeing.
Yeah,
in
no
London or-
expo to walk around
Yeah,
or
no
something like
expos.
that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and then it'll be quite weird. Luckily, the hotel's got some grounds that we can run in to do our last little runs.
and are all the athletes staying at the same hotel?
Yeah, all athletes in the same hotel, and London Marathon's booked out the hotel completely, so it's just London Marathon's athletes and staff there. Face masks worn at all times, I think. We've got a room to ourselves, which is quite nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But then, I'm trying to not socialise too much. And plenty of social distancing and hand washing and hand sanitizer and COVID tests. Yeah.
But it's all worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, the fact they've put it on and gone to this effort is great.
Yeah, and I think all the extra measures just make it, it's security for you.
Yeah,
and for
yeah, I
everybody
think,
else,
yeah.
and still able to do. I mean, it's the 40th anniversary as well, so it's quite a big
Yeah.
marathon, and I think to be part of something that's so bizarre.
Yeah, I think
for
it's
a race that big.
it'll be a good story to tell. I think.
It would be a great story, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've absolutely loved talking with you today. I find it fascinating, hearing about your training and about different processes that you have to go through in your training and your goals. I absolutely love that, you want to go for the Commonwealth. I love that.
Yeah.
But I have got one really important question. Okay? So at the end of every episode, I ask a little would you rather. Okay? So yours today is, would you rather race the marathon in any brand, it doesn't matter, but one of the new fancy carbon fibre plated marathon shoes? Yeah. Or would you rather that they didn't exist, they weren't around, and everybody is back to racing flats with a normal marathon trainer?
That's a good question. I would rather that we didn't have these fancy new tech shoes. They're amazing to run in. They feel great, and I've run in a couple of different pairs now from different brands, and they feel great. But like one of the jumps, when I went from 222 to 220 to 218, that was also going from normal trainers to fancy new shoes, and that's definitely part of it. I was fitter, but actually the shoes played a part, and I'd much prefer to have made a jump and know actually that was 100% me.
Yeah,
and
that's interesting actually. Yeah.
And I can also say compare it to historical performances. Like if I if I got onto the UK top 100 rankings, with fancy new shoes, I don't know how can I always vet the shoes and how much of that is just the training I've done and my natural talent. So yeah, I'd prefer it if we were all on a level playing field. And it's also hard to get a pair of these new shoes as well. And they're expensive.
They are expensive, aren't they? They do cost a lot of money, and I know with everybody with like the Vaporflies and stuff, I mean it's impossible to get a hold of. You've got to be on the button straight away. But I actually agree this week with the would you rather. Let me know in the comments below what you would rather race in, and what situation you would rather be in. But thank you very much. Love chatting with you.
Yeah, great to talk.
All the best for London. I can't wait I'll be tracking you and cheering you on, and I really, really hope that you get that PB.
Thanks very much. Thanks.
That's it for this week's episode. If you have enjoyed this interview, please do make sure to give a thumbs up, even better subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when future interviews are coming out. I have added all of Dan's links below so you can go and give him some support on Instagram, on Strava and on Twitter. Go and share some love and give him some support ahead of Sunday. Stay tuned for some more special edition London Marathon episodes coming up this week. Other than that, stay safe and happy running.